and welcome to the Yeerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the Yeerky Boys. Oh man, today we're diving into the world of Animorphs video games. It's a new era on the podcast.
Wow, we're in our video games era.
Hell yeah, a new medium.
I think this is kind of maybe like our lover era.
Yeah, in a sense, kind of, yeah.
I almost went into the Patreon and said my names, and I had to correct myself because on the main show we do a proper "my name is"
right
because of the books.
Yeah,
the ones we used to read.
Is that why we did that? It wasn't just introducing ourselves.
Yeah, because you say my name is. That's how you introduce yourself.
I guess that's why we do that.
Yeah, fucking of course that's why we do it.
Makes sense.
Jesus. Come on. Video games. We're going to talk about them today. We're going to talk about them a fair few bits. However, before then, we do have to cover an email.
The sharing.
Wow. You really put your heart and soul into that one. Listeners, I hope you're excited to join us. It's going to be a fun episode. If you'd like to email us with your thoughts about Animorphs games or any other Animorphs content, you can do so, theyeerkyboys@gmail.com, just like Kat did. And we got to give a shout out to Kat for, over on the Blue Sky, bringing one of our meme visions to life.
That's right. Week. That's right. It was a pretty exciting time.
Yeah, our idea of during one of the Animorphs TV show episodes for Rachel to do the Tobias meme with the other guy. You know, I don't know. If you go onto our Blue Skies, I bet you can find it in our replies if you want to go see it. It's not going to be funny if I explain it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the with the guy and he had video of Marco, and we were like, wouldn't it be funny if it was the Hello Human Resources meme? It's like that, but funny.
I just feel like this podcast is off to a terrible start.
This is going to be a good episode. No, it's going to be good. This is going to be good.
Anyone who is not a longtime listener, who's tuning in because they're specifically excited about the Yeerk pool and Hawk rescue, they're like, "What? This is so disorganized." I guess they introduced themselves, and the topic, but it was kind of haphazard, and now it's an email. I don't even know. We're all over the place.
It's okay. People are used to this. The first couple minutes of a podcast are always bullshit. So, if they're just gonna skip to the good part.
Yeah,
this is the bad part right now.
Right. Anyway, Kat has a long email. If anyone recalls out there. Kat came to the show late and had quite a, if you listen to our show late, there's quite a long road ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the email. I'll read it. Good news, everyone. Thanks to the power of having no life, I'm officially caught up with the podcast and can actually comment on current/recent topics. 3 celebrating party hat emojis. I can talk about Animorphs. Shame it's too late to talk about the books, the thing I actually like. Oh well. Let's get the show out of the way first, since everything that can be said about it has already been said. The theme song goes very hard. Sorry, just hard. I added the very. Everything else goes varying degrees of meh. Jake eating escargot in front of Visser 3 was the peak, and nothing else was ever as good. What do you think? Would you agree with that? Do you think that that's the peak of the Animorphs TV show?
That's one of the peaks for sure. If that's not the peak, then it's, you know what I mean? It's close.
That's the capture that happens in? Is that right?
Yes. Which part? Yeah. I don't remember.
It was part 1 because I'm pretty sure it was the opening.
Okay. Yes, it's part 1.
Yeah, that's probably, it's got to be in the top 3 at least.
Yeah, easy top 3.
Okay. Next, I loved the episode with your adaptation ideas. I think an Invincible-style animated show would be absolutely amazing, and your in-depth planning out of the different seasons really got my imagination going. I like the idea of introducing characters like Eric and David early on, and doing Megamorphs / Chronicles as big mid-season events. I'm glad you're considerate of book readers who know stuff ahead of time and giggle knowingly at the non-book audience going, "Aw shit, you're not ready for where this plot line is going, bro." Because I am absolutely that person, aka an annoying piece of shit. That's not I didn't read that's in the
Okay.
email. That's not my commentary.
I was gonna say that sounds like your voice, so just be careful how you talk about our listeners who care enough to write in.
I would never ever say anything bad about the pieces of shit. Which brings me to the next line. I wish I could write in with my own original ideas for Animorphs movies, but that's not my role here. I'm just the consumer. As Jonathan once said, and I quote, "That is how I imagine our listeners. We're just pouring this slop, this gunk, this mess into a trough, and they're just like, nom 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 nom, oink oink." End quote. I think I maybe actually made snorting sounds. I'm not sure if I said oink oink.
Yeah, that
Anyway,
sounds right to me.
I'm sad that we're never going to get anything even close to any of this because Hollywood is too busy making shitty Disney remakes. I'm going to be mad about this until the day I die. My gravestone will say, "I never got my gritty Animorphs reboot." It's not even going to have a name on it, just that text. People will know who it is. This email's separated into blocks, so I'll pause here in case there's anything you want to add about basically this is just praising us for our good
Yeah.
ideas, so
No, I agree with everything positive you said about us.
great. Next, there was the clip show episode. Fuck you again for that. I'm not sure. I think maybe that's a typo. It's supposed to say thank you again?
I think that's right.
I don't really understand. Can't comment on the audiobook since I never listened to them, but I do love Jonathan calling people who listen to audiobooks stupid, and then immediately admitting he doesn't listen to them because his attention span is too short. Very interesting. Also, I hope Will's horribly deformed face is doing better. Take care of yourself. You want to give an update on your horribly deformed face?
Well, it's still horribly deformed, but it's the normal amount, right? It doesn't have any of the weird swelling.
Thank God. In some ways, the swelling was an improvement, truth be told.
Yeah, I mean, like it made it so that I couldn't put my contacts in, so I didn't have to see how deformed it was. So that was, I mean, it was an improvement for me too, in some sense.
Yeah. The Me Too movement, you're saying?
Huh?
You're saying it was an improvement for the Me Too movement because you couldn't see women, so you couldn't harass them as much?
Huh. That's an interesting place your mind just went there.
I thought that's what you were referencing.
I mean, I didn't say hashtag, so I don't really know how you got there.
Oh, I guess I added hashtag in my mind. Anyway, Kat continues. Moving on to the graphic novels. Sadly, I fall more on the hater side here. No offense to Chris Grine, I'm sure he's a wonderful person, but I can't get over his art style. I've seen free webcomics that look better. It's overly simplistic, the backgrounds are empty, and everyone has the exact same face. I'm really not trying to be a snob, but not everything needs to look like an Alex Ross painting, but goddamn, at least give them different eye colors, slightly different eyebrows. He didn't even do the bare minimum of giving the girls longer eyelashes. Even Axe somehow has the same face as everyone else, despite not having a mouth. And the reveal of his human form was so comical to me. Whoa, he looks like all of us combined. Amazing. Must have been one easy Frolis maneuver to pull off. It reminded me of the South Park episode where they poke fun at their own character designs by having all the boys shave their heads and then not be able to tell each other apart for the rest of the episode. Here's an observation. I skimmed through some of the comics with my husband, who knows almost nothing about Animorphs. He immediately assumed Cassie was a boy, and could barely tell Rachel and Tobias apart. Just like Jonathan, he assumed the person on the cover of the encounter was Rachel. You both mentioned the injured dolphin scene in the message, and I took a close look at it. The blood indeed looks bizarre. Seriously, it looks less like blood and more like the dolphin shit itself. Just another proof that Animorphs shouldn't be made child-friendly, especially since everyone who read the books as a kid is now around 30. I appreciate trying to remain faithful to the books, but honestly, an adaptation should be taken as an opportunity to improve. Sticking to the source material without any deviation isn't always a good thing. And honestly, at that point, why adapt at all? It's not like the books aren't accessible, they're like 100 pages long each and available for free. The one thing I will say is that the morphing sequences look properly horrifying and weird. I did enjoy those a lot. Credit where credit's due. All right, end of rant. We got here's the hater right here.
Is this our pause to respond to this block? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we basically already covered all this on the show. I don't think that I actually disagree with anything that Kat is saying here. It's just the things that bothered her didn't bother me as much, even though I noticed them, and and that some of the things that I liked, I think I liked more. I don't know, but yeah, everything she says isn't wrong.
I think a lot of it comes down to the thing again that beggars can't be choosers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like just seeing a modern-ish redux, just seeing these books brought to life in some form, and because the books at a base level, at least the ones that were adapted, are good enough that even sticking so closely to them and with art that's not the best art, it's still entertaining just to see that actually existing in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty, I guess that's really faint praise. I'm basically just saying like, well, it's the only thing we got. So I'm being less harsh on it, I think, because of that. And yes, like the books themselves, the source material is doing most of the heavy lifting here.
Mm-hmm.
Even the art that I like, it's like, well, you just drew what she described,
Right. Yeah, no, I would agree with a lot of that. I want to say a whole lot of things, but I am very aware that everything I want to say is just reiterating what I said before, so I'm not going to waste everybody's time like I normally would here.
I will say one thing that I forgot to bring up, and I was going to add it on at some point when we were talking about the comics last week. Yeah, it was last week, huh? Last episode.
Damn. Feels like a long
time ago. I know, right? Time. Yeah, well, you know how it is. Good value on those, I have to say, in terms of the price.
Mm-hmm.
I believe each one is $12.99 or $13.99, something like that.
Something like that. I think every single time. I'm sorry, I bought them on Amazon. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh my god!
I apologize.
I can't believe
I think every time I bought it, they were
them.
on some kind of sale, so I got them for less than that.
Holy shit! You disgust me.
I know.
Meanwhile, I'm just shoving Chick-fil-A into my mouth.
See, that's why I'm morally superior. I have a Chick-fil-A right next to me. I don't go to it. Haha. Look at that.
You buy one every day just so you can keep it on your desk and shake your head and not eat it. I'll never enjoy you, Chick-fil-A. This is a protest. Anyway, we got really off topic. The point I was trying to make is, we said they're what? Either the comics are like 200 plus pages.
Yeah.
Full color, like good quality. If you told me those were $20 each, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like that's totally worth it. They seem way too cheap. I don't know how Scholastic is getting away with it.
They do. I was thinking about this because I was like, Animorphs books were like fucking $3 or $4 in the late 90s.
Right.
And like inflation on that, these graphic novels are not that much more expensive, even though they cover all the same shit and they're, illustrated.
I think a standard like 30-page comic book nowadays is $5 or $6. So like that you can get so much more content out of that for just 3 times that price is like, what? Seems crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's because it's just Chris Grind. They don't have to pay anybody else. They're just paying him nothing for his years of work. Anyway, yeah, I mean, fair criticisms. You're not wrong. Okay, the email concludes. I almost made this email even longer by trying out some of the Animorphs video games and offering opinions on those too. But then patch 8 of Baldur's Gate came out, so yeah, that's not happening. You've been spared. Last thing, since our fandom has an official name now, I'd like to shout out all my fellow shitbags/pay pigs. Shout out to Lane, Spam Viking, Steven, Nick, no last name, Comrade Gwen, and anyone else I may have forgotten. I hope you're all doing great and being awesome. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you all. Yours truly, and in the spirit of making everything take as long as humanly possible. And it is signed. Is this her real name? Am I supposed to read your full name on the air? It feels wrong. I'm just going to say Cat.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
But I think this might be. I think she maybe did something like this is like an Andalite version of the name or something. I don't know if this is, but it feels like at least part of this name is real. I'm just not going to read it.
Okay. Listen, how are you confusing an Andalite name with a real name? Like, how weird?
Because I don't know. I'm going to send it to you.
Okay. I'm going to look at this name, this Andalite name that listeners.
I don't know what and this is, but then that's what the email comes under. So
Interesting.
Are
have a
these
strange name,
nicknames?
Cat.
Yeah, do you just have a strange foreign name? or is this some kind of because also she said in the spirit of making everything take as long as humanly possible, so maybe this like stretched the name out just to be cute. I don't know what it is. Are you like a Russian oligarch? What is this name? Are you Anastasia? Are you hiding from the government? What the fuck is this? Now I'm just roasting someone's actual fucking name on our show.
Do you know a Mr. Joseph something in real life?
Yeah. God, I want the like Kay Applegate biopic where all the she's like, what should I name this person? Then a guy like the mailman comes, mail from Mr. Joseph something. That's it. I want that for every name in Animorphs to explain why they're so weird. Okay, anyway. Isn't
email.
That nice?
That is a nice.
She's shouted out all our friends and even gave Nick No Name his proper no last name.
Wow. Although I think did she hit Efflume 12191?
No, my God, Cat. What's this beef between you and Efflume?
And of course, Rose the Fox, but
sure.
She probably stopped listening.
And there's other ones too.
There might have been others. I don't remember them either, though.
Seropedia, of course.
Right, of course. Yeah, but they're not. Seropedia isn't one of our fans.
No. They're one of our ops.
Right.
Anyway.
Glad that email was so long, because I don't think we have enough content for today's episode to stand alone.
I look forward to the follow-up when I find out about your name. I just don't want to accidentally dox anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I get it.
I mean, it's the internet. Everyone's name is out. Everyone's everywhere. What the fuck? Who cares? If you want to email us with your long thoughts about comics or anything, theyeerkyboys@gmail.com. And check out our Patreon, patreon.com/theyeerkyboys. Every week we got a new special bonus episode if you just can't get enough. We're talking about the video games, as we said.
If you just tuned in to listen to the video games and you've been skipping forward wondering when we were going to stop yammering, this is now's the time you can safely listen.
That being said, I did want to say before we get started, blaze it, bro.
Oh, because it's like 420?
That's right, we're recording on 420, bro.
Wow.
Smoke up, dude.
It's also Easter.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
He
has risen,
Easter
man.
blunt. The Easter blunty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wish Cassie would morph into the Easter blunty. Fucking hide some chocolate blunts around the house. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Here's what I'm saying.
What are you saying? Why did you even bring this up? Like, where are we?
Because you know what? I might like book number 9, The Secret, a little more. I don't know, if we're talking about skunks, we
Uh-huh.
could at least be talking about some of that skunk ass skunky weed. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't really know why you're
Yeah.
talking about this.
Well, I thought it would be fun to do a bit about 420,
Mhm.
and I thought it would be funny since you said now we're gonna talk about the video
Oh,
games if
I see,
I
to
stop
waste
talking about them.
time, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
funny to
yeah.
waste our listeners' time. A little behind the scenes detail here. Jonathan hates weed
Oh,
smokers
me?
and thinks they're all degenerates
No, come on.
in
Don't
real
that
life.
is not
He
true.
he
That
doesn't
is
like them.
not true.
He's
That's
always talking
not
shit
true.
about them. So like
Dude,
this is entirely just a little bit he's doing at your
I'm
expense.
fucking high every
If
time I
you're
do
high
this
right
show,
now, just know
dude.
he's probably judging you.
Dude, I like all weed. I like
Hmm.
sativa. I like indica. Okay? I like when it's
This is the worst podcast we've ever done.
I like when it's like even like shitty weed. Like the kind you'd buy from
Uh-huh.
your older classmate behind the
How much of
gymnasium.
this are you gonna cut? All of it? None of it?
There are a series of Animorphs video games.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 real video games and a couple of fake video games. And this week we're
Yes.
talking about the fake ones.
Right. This is fake video game day.
That's correct. Our Lord hath risen. Um Essentially what we're talking about today are Animorphs web games, or these are 2 games we're covering. That's right, 2 for 1 special, people. You get a bonus.
Holy shit.
We could have stretched it out to 2 episodes if we wanted to, but no, we're packing them into 1. These games were both available for free during the 90s on the official Animorphs Scholastic website. They are Hawk Rescue
Mm-hmm.
and the Yeerk Pool.
Oh, the Yeerk pool? I thought it was just Yeerk pool.
According to Seropedia, it is the Yeerk Pool.
Ooh.
And
Okay,
I think
okay.
that's on the title screen as well.
Oh
So
yeah, I
yes.
see that on the title screen. Yeah, it does say the Yeerk pool.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Now, where to begin with these? You know what? Because we want to waste time, I think we begin by talking about web games in general as a thing. I'm looking at right now, I also have up an archived, a way back machine of the old Animorphs site
Okay.
where these are up for download. It's a really good site. It has Animorphs Hawk Rescue, help Tobias rescue the other Animorphs. You'll need Shockwave 7.0 or higher to play this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the Yeerk Pool, guide Jay quickly through a maze to the Yeerk Pool before the controllers get him in this downloadable game.
Crazy.
So Hawk Rescue was actually played in your browser. And
Yeah, I was
Yeerk
wondering
Pool
about that
required a
because
download.
it did feel like Hawk Rescue was a browser game, but the Yeerk pool to me didn't seem like it would have been.
So this is a thing that I feel like back in the day was a thing, and today is no longer. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yes. No, well, I feel like the online games today are like these itch.io type things. And I don't really
Sure,
know much about that because I'm just
but
like not in that scene anymore.
the people who are downloading itch.io games, which if anyone doesn't know is a sort of an open, like anyone can create a game and sell a game on
Hmm.
there, like it's an indie thing. That's 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds. It's not kids, I don't think. I think that's for like people who know about indie. Like kids are just playing Roblox and Fortnite. Whereas,
That's probably true. That's probably true. It's not, like I said, I'm not into it, so it's not clear to me that there aren't kids going there, the nerdier weirdos, but you might be
mhm,
right.
that's the sense I get at least of the core community surrounding it.
Hmm.
But when we were youngins and the internet was just getting started, you could go online. I mean, I'm not even thinking about Newgrounds, which was
Yeah.
obviously kind of became the hub. But even I remember a big one back in the day was Cartoon Network's website had a bunch of games based on their shows. I don't know if you ever encountered those.
Yeah. That was one of the ones I was gonna go to. Is you could
Yeah.
Cartoon Network had a shitload of stuff that I don't even really remember. I remember I spent a lot of time there, but I don't like have any fucking idea what I played.
The best one, the one people always bring up is it was something like a cartoon summer vacation game.
Hmm.
And I don't remember who you play, if you were just a random character or what, but you basically, it was like a giant adventure game, and you were going around some beach resort, and all the characters from all the Cartoon Network shows were there. You could talk to them, you'd have to do quests for them or whatever the hell they wanted you to do. I don't know.
Hmm.
But I remember loving that. And it just felt like any time there was a movie that was for kids, or in this case, a book series or anything, they would have a website, and it was the thing of the day that there would be at least one shitty little Flash or Shockwave game to play in the browser. And as a kid at that time, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, these games held my attention so much longer than maybe they would for anyone, kids or adults today. I get partially because games weren't as sophisticated then, but also just because the idea of, even as a gamer,
Hmm.
I was waiting for mostly birthdays and holidays to get new games. So to be able to, even if it was shitty, the concept of being able to play a new game that was free on the computer, and it was just there for you waiting, that was pretty great.
Yeah, I guess actually probably the closest analog today would be like a phone game, right? Like some shitty phone app thing,
Mm.
right? Where it's just like, yeah, this is not as fleshed out as a real game, but you can just kind of go here and find it, and there it is. And just people can just make them and put them up. I think the problem is that phone games are a lot more monetized. So you're probably dropping $1, and a lot of them are just gambling simulators now, and like it doesn't have the same joy of just like playing as a little stick figure running around or whatever. Because it wasn't even just like some like Cartoon Network and big name thing. Like there would also just be some game would just pop up and you'd just be like, oh, did you hear about this thing you can just go play on this one guy's website who just made one thing, and then that would be like I can't even really think of examples, but like you would just go there and be like, "Oh, cool, that's the thing that my friends are playing." Oh, and then everybody forgot about it. Like these were everywhere, and they were amazing. But they were amazing very specifically because it was just like easy access right there. Everybody can just go do it, right? I don't have to have like a console. I don't have to go buy something. I don't have to wait. I don't have to put 20 hours into it to have played it. I could play it for 5 minutes. The fucking ski thing with the Yeti. What the hell's that thing called?
Ski free.
Ski free. Yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah,
Dino
yeah.
Run. That was a good one.
Dino Run. Which one is that?
You were like a dinosaur and you like there was like meteors, it was like an apocalypse and you had to like run across to get to the end of the level before you got meteored. One of these type of things, and there
Sure.
were like eggs and stuff, and I don't even know.
Was it 3D?
No, it was like a 2D like side
Hmm.
scrolling thing, but you like it
Okay.
was like unidirectional because you just had to always be running.
I mean, a big one I just remembered for me back in the day was this helicopter game.
Hmm.
Does that ring a bell to you?
Maybe.
It was sort of like the original Flappy Bird, where you just guide a helicopter. As you click, the helicopter would go up, and if you let go of the mouse button, it would sink down, and you had to keep balancing for it to
Hmm.
avoid obstacles, and you get a higher score for how far you get.
I swear to God I've played this because when you describe those controls, I'm like, I've played this, but I have no memories of what it looked like.
I mean, this was also back in the day. Like, I know the ones I had. This is a little beyond the scope of just web games. Like, you had to
Hmm.
download them, but there was Snood. There was
Hmm.
like Icy Tower was a big one I would play back in the day. Or there's one called Kung Fu Kim, which
I
is
don't know
probably
these.
racist.
I probably just downloaded less shit. But I mean, like, I don't think that's beyond the scope of this episode since you did apparently have
That's
to
true.
download the Yeerk pool.
You're right. That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think part of it is one aspect is from back in the day. you could make a lot of these games, somebody could at least, in like a couple of days or a week or
Mhm.
a few hours. And people were fine with that. And they were like, oh, I get it. It's the internet. It's a silly game. It's free. I'm getting a high score. I don't care if it kind of sucks or looks like shit a little bit. And now I think because everyone's like phones and everything have the capability to actually have advanced graphics, I think it's harder now. People are more judgmental about a free game in a browser. They're like, why would I waste any time with this? I can play Fortnite on my phone. That's
Yeah.
like a fully modeled advanced game.
Yeah, and there's also like I think there is a monetization aspect of it, which like it's not I mean, it's not bad that people who are like spending hours and hours and hours making these things are getting paid for them, but like on the other hand, it does like I don't know, I feel like it just very much changes the landscape because like you don't find people who are just like I want to make a game. It's kind of like okay, I want to get paid for making a game, and that is a different mindset to go into it with, you know.
Hmm.
Um and I guess there's some of these like download games did like evolve into that, right? Like I remember as a kid I fucking loved Insane Aquarium, which is like one of the big like Pop
Mm.
Tropica games, and I think that just became a game you could buy and not a game you could play for free anymore eventually. Uh so I don't
Yeah.
know. Or
Yeah,
like
I guess
maybe originally you could play most of it, but there were a couple of unlocks. I feel like that whole company group, whatever the hell that is, evolved into a monetized thing out of that original.
we are missing some of the big ones. I named like weird, obscure ones that I
Yeah.
liked, but there's more obvious Neopets,
Right. Yeah.
RuneScape.
No,
That I
that's because I
was.
didn't play these.
I mean, I did a little of Neopets. It never really clicked with me, but I was obsessed with RuneScape. Probably the only MMO I actually genuinely got into in my entire life. um, there's another. Oh, there's like Club Penguin. I never did that. I think that's a little after us, but that
Yeah.
was a big thing. A lot of this goes back to our Patreon episode that you can hear at patreon.com/the Yeerky Boys, where we
Nice.
did an entire episode about the internet, which basically was 90 minutes of us yelling at clouds about how the internet sucks now because Web 2.0 or whatever the fuck we're on now, there's only 4 websites. Nobody does anything for the love of the game anymore. Like you said,
hmm
there's no why would you just make a game? No, you're going to sell it. Which in some cases it's like that's good. I'm glad we're at that place, but we have kind of lost something.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that the internet is real life now. So, like, it's not like a place for weirdos who want to do cool shit to go hide out, right? Like, if you're going to be on the internet, you have to, like, live your life there like a normal person. So, there's nothing interesting or cool there anymore.
We need to create a secondary internet, sort of like a dark web.
I think the actual problem is that that's like Discord servers now.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, fuck
Everything
off with that shit.
sucks.
I agree.
Anyway,
Before we move on, I should actually just mention this for my own sake. Nobody's gonna fucking know this game, but one of the like in-browser games that I probably have the most time in overall in my life was a game called Ginormo Sword, uh, which I think nobody has heard of this game, but it fucking ruled. And you
okay.
played a little man and you got to run around on a
Mm.
map and kill enemies and you'd level up. And when you level, every time you level up, you got to increase either the length or width of your sword. And by the time you were at the end of it, your sword would just be so big that it was like 100 times the length of the screen and 10 times the width of the screen. So it just filled the entire screen everywhere you went. And it was a great game and it ruled. And I definitely sunk like fucking 24 hours into that easy, if not more.
I just dissociated for a minute there. I don't know.
It's great. If you know what this
Okay.
is, you'll be like, haha, yeah. And if you don't, you'll be like, what's wrong with you? But I had to bring it up.
Cool. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say now. It was just so boring to listen to.
Hmm. You're kind of mean sometimes, I've noticed.
I'm gonna cut that. Um, what? Are there any other games that are
N-
good? No,
no,
not
there are
really.
no other good games.
Okay. Well,
Well,
then why
there
don't we
are
talk about
two.
these two? Yeah. I think so. As far as here's the thing, there's a few things about these games.
Hmm.
It is hard to get a lot of info on them because they're so old, and video game preservation in general is a hot button thing these days. But it's like difficult to sometimes find games even on actual home consoles, let alone random internet sites that nobody really gives a shit about. So if you actually want to play these games today, it is somewhat challenging.
Yes. Now, I played these games while I was visiting with you last week, specifically
Yeah.
because that way I wouldn't have to go through all the bullshit you did to get them to work.
Right. So I'll talk about the bullshit for any listener who is curious about these.
Yeah, walk me through, because you didn't even have to walk. Next week, you're going to have to walk me through any of the bullshit that you did, and so we can talk about it together.
Mm.
But I don't really know exactly what you had to go through here.
Well, a lot of it was just Googling and Redditing and desperately trying to find info. Hawk Rescue was not that complicated. But if people don't know, Shockwave, which Hawk Rescue requires, does not exist anymore. You need to just have an old computer, I guess, to have Shockwave that works. Maybe there's plugins or something. I don't even know. But like if you're on this archived website and you try to play it, it just won't work on a modern computer. There is a program I found called Flashpoint, which is basically a big repository of, I think, primarily Shockwave, but maybe other old internet games. I didn't really explore it too thoroughly. All I know is if you download it and you type into the search bar Hawk Rescue, it comes up and you can play it. So that one is relatively simple. You just need to find this Flashpoint program and you can enjoy Hawk Rescue in all its glory. The other one, the Yeerk pool, more complicated because that one's, as we said, wasn't an in-browser game. It's something you would actually download. It's an exe file or whatever. And this one, the only way that I figured out how to get this game to run, which by the way, you can download it. There are websites that have it, like the file itself. It is preserved out there. But once you have it, how do you actually run it on modern hardware? The way that I found was to download an emulator for Windows 3.1. So I am emulating an instance of Windows 3.1 from 1995 or whatever on my relatively modern computer. And then I had to jump through some hoops. There were some people on Reddit somehow I found who were talking about it because you had to be able to load your own game onto it because obviously it doesn't just come with the Yeerk pool standard.
Mhm.
And I couldn't even tell you what I did. I just basically had to futz around with it for a while to figure out how to get it to in the right folder and for the Windows 3.1 to recognize it and run it. And even then, as you'll attest to, there were some graphical issues with it.
Yeah. Now, what's funny is I rewatched some footage of people playing it on YouTube to refresh my memory, and they had the same graphical issues. So I'm assuming they did the same thing you
Hmm.
did, and that wasn't just, part of the game, but, you know.
Hard to say. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, so that's that. If you really want to play these, I will say this. Other than for the, if you're a real completionist and you just need to know what it was like, you can probably watch videos of these on YouTube and be fine.
Mm.
You're not missing out on much from these particular games disappearing from the internet.
Yeah, I mean, these, as an Animorphs fan, these are just like not necessary to look at, right? Like they're very, very simple. They're very short. They're the kind of thing that you would do to kill time as a kid because you had 15 minutes and you wanted to play on the computer. Um, and for that, they are, so I think that there is some value to them if that's what you're into. Because I think there's definitely something to be said for saying like, "Oh, I loved that kind of game and I want to archive and play through a lot of variants of that kind of game." Um, as opposed to I'm an Animorphs fan and I want to experience Animorphs media, in which case this adds very little. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. Well, and I certainly got a little bit of nostalgia playing these and feeling like, you know what, if I had been aware of these games, which
Hmm.
isn't outside the realm of possibility, I was aware of Animorphs and I was looking at all kinds of shitty websites and playing shitty games all the time as a kid. So who knows? Maybe I did play one of these and forgot about it. I don't think I did though. But I probably would have gotten some enjoyment out of them at the time.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Let's talk. I think we should start with Hawk Rescue.
Yeah, let's start with Hawk Rescue.
Let me read the official
Mm-hmm.
description here.
Yeah, let's
Well, I
do the
already,
official.
help Tobias rescue the other Animorphs. There's a
Hmm.
little logo of the game, which is kind of confusing, to be honest. it looks like it looks like a pair of hawk wings with a talon, like a foot, a hawk foot coming out of each wing, like you're looking at a hawk. But in the
Right.
center, instead of the hawk's body and head, there's just a line because they've made it like an H. So
Yeah.
imagine like a capital letter H, and attached to each
Oh,
side is a wing with a foot.
I don't like this because the feathers on the wing are like kind of finger-like, but there's 6 of them and they're obviously supposed to be feathers. It looks kind of yucky.
It's just those. It's an interesting choice, but whatever. Okay, so here's how this game works. You control Tobias in Hawk Morph, and it is a side-scrolling shooter, essentially.
Hmm.
You control Tobias with the mouse, so just by moving the mouse, you can go up, down, and forward and backwards, like as if he were your cursor. So it's totally free movement control.
Hmm.
Clicking the left button will shoot out maple flavored oatmeal.
Yes.
So presumably Tobias, I guess he just has bottles. He's just holding bottles or sacks of oatmeal. I don't know how he's storing it exactly. Maybe in his mouth. Maybe he's spitting it out.
He's got a little pouch, one of those pouches Rachel like sewed for him.
A
Maybe.
special kind of
Yeah.
squirt gun that
Yeah,
Axe made that
he can
he can
shoot it.
use with his wings. He bends one of his talons in to pull the trigger by a string or something.
Tear.
You don't see it because it just looks like a
Yeah.
blob just comes out of you. There's no
Right.
weapon. And you are traveling from left to right. The screen moves left to right. And as you go, there are various enemies. You need to shoot them with your oatmeal. Every time you do, you get some points. And eventually in the level, there's a key that you collect by touching it, and then you get to go to the next level.
Yes.
There are 4 total levels. Each level adds a new enemy, and then the game is over.
Well, you have
Well,
to there's a special end game challenge where you have to unscramble a 4-letter animal word
right. Each
and you have a
key that you
time limit.
get gives you a letter.
Yes.
And I think the idea is when it's over, like I don't know, is it the code to get into the Yeerk? It's to rescue the other, like the idea is all the Animorphs have been captured and only Tobias can save them.
Yeah, let's see if we can
So
you'll need 4 keys to release the Animorphs. It says in the official instruction page.
well, there you
Uh
go.
while you're playing, be careful not to move the mouse too much or you won't be able to control the hawk.
Oh yes, at
If
the
you,
end it says, it does say you've made it to the Yeerk pool at the end.
okay, cool. God, I love
Yeah.
these all caps. Click on the left mouse button to fire maple flavored oatmeal. Make the enemy disappear and earn points. This is good.
Yeah, you should
Forgot how
definitely,
great this screen is.
if you can, go on Seropedia. They have screenshots or find a video. And I don't know if Hawk Rescue has a YouTube video.
I did watch some Hawk Rescue, although the video I watched, the guy did not even make it to the 4th level.
That's pretty sad,
It is
all things considered. Yeah. So you're a hawk, you're a bird, you're shooting. That's the gist of the game. Four enemy types. You start with just Yeerks,
Mhm.
then you get Taxons,
Mhm.
then Hork-Bajir, and finally blade ships.
Yes. Now these
Multiple.
also, have different backgrounds
Each level, yeah.
each level, yeah. So when it's just the Yeerks, right, you've got kinda Cassie's barn in the background going past.
Well,
Um,
let's to be
well,
clear, it's like multiple Cassie's barns.
yes. Yeah, it's you're
Farmland.
scrolling past I'm pretty sure it's the same, just repeating background. It's a farm with a barn on it, so it's
Mhm.
lots of Cassie's barns. Then there's, like, a little suburbia area with houses, with the taxons. Um, and then we get the Hork-Bajir, and you've got a city background with a bunch of buildings, and then the blade ships start showing up when you're in the Yeerk pool itself, I guess, because it's like you're underground.
Yes. How would you describe the graphics of this game for anyone who isn't looking at it right now?
How would I describe them? I mean, honestly, very flash gamey, very simplistic,
Mm.
right? Like, it's you've got, as I said, like a one or two screens of background that just go past over and over again. You've got a hawk that is animated with 5 frames or whatever, and similar with like the taxons, they just kind of move up and down. It does look like the sort of thing that you or I could have made in Flash, right? With slightly better art skills for each individual sprite. Uh,
it yeah, very MS Painty, I would
mhm,
say the
mhm.
backgrounds. It really looks like this is some teenager said, "I want to learn Flash," and this was his first project.
Yeah. I do like that. I think that that is fun. It is a little bit odd that this is the official Animorphs game on the
Right.
official Animorphs site as opposed to a fan game
Right.
that is just a standalone thing. That's the only thing on its site because, this is, Tom's fun site where he made a Yerk pool game.
Tom? Jake's
Yeah,
brother?
the Tom. Yeah, exactly.
Throwing him off the scent?
Yeah. Watch out. I'm going to have another game coming out soon in 5 years that'll never get finished.
Yeah, I think the worst looking part of it all is the hawk itself, which is sort of a bummer since that's the thing you're constantly staring at. It is really has strong 4-year-old trace the hand turkey energy. And I'm not talking about Marco's giant ass hand that he traced on the wall. It looks very crappy. It doesn't. I don't even know if I would say, "Oh yeah, that's a hawk." Like it's all brown. There's no other defining shading or like a slightly different coloring. It's just a
Mhm.
one boring shade of brown with a yellow beak and yellow feet
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, no,
and
too
one
that would
beady
be
little
too many
eye.
shades if you did that.
He's red-tailed for Christ's sakes. It's in
Yeah,
the
you could
name.
could have put a little bit of red on him. His beautiful red tail.
Now the enemies actually are maybe they look better than him.
Mhm, mhm.
A little more effort went into the so like I said, Yeerk's, Taxons, Hork-Bajir, the Blade Ship, they actually look okay, I think. You
Yeah,
know?
the Hork-Bajir are still monocolor, right, basically, as far
Yeah.
as I can see, but they do have a Hork-Bajir shape, which is difficult. The Yeerks, surprisingly, are not. They have detail, right? There's dots on the you could have made those a blob and it would have been fine, but they didn't. The
Yeah.
Taxons have little, like, stripes on them. Now, their Taxons are yellow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Who knows what color anything really is?
No, you're right, and the blade ship's got some stuff going on with it too. It's got detail.
Yeah, it is a in the picture on this on the when they show it to you, introduce it to you, they're showing you a sort of a bird's eye view of the blade ship. But I think when you fight them, they're coming at you from the side angle, aren't they?
I thought they were still. bird's
Are
eye
they
view,
still like
even though they
that?
should be coming at you from a side angle.
Okay, maybe I can't.
I'm
There's
not
not a picture of it on here, so I'm not going to
sure.
double check.
I mean, here's the other thing about these. When we say they're enemies, you might think that
Mm.
like Hork-Bajir, when they start showing up, they're at like the ground level and the blade ships are in the air. They're kind of not. They're distributed kind of randomly across the screen. And none of them really come at you except the blade ship, right? Like they all just scroll past with the thing and you have to dodge them or shoot them. Now the blade ships do come at you, right? They're big and they come at you and you can get hit by
Mm.
them. But the other ones are pretty just
Yes.
there.
Imagine any side-scrolling arcade shooter, and it basically treats the enemies like they're all just spaceships. Like
Yes.
there's no, it doesn't make sense. Like, why are the Yeerks without hosts just floating in the air?
They're coming for you, Tobias. You're gonna get hit. Somebody's throwing Yeerks at you.
Right? Like, what harm are they gonna do?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. Why is he? If you're trying to rationalize this game, it's impossible. You're not gonna be able to do it. And the enemies, other than I guess the blade ship you said, I don't even know that I fully registered that, but you're right. It's not like, oh, the Taxons are bigger, but they hit harder, or oh, the
Yeah.
Hork-Bajir like shoot blades at you. No, they all are just a thing on the screen. They don't.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
No, I mean I registered this because I was, when I played it, I was like, ooh, what can I get score wise? And I started noticing very quickly, like, well, the Hork-Bajir are really tall, so in this side scroller thing, they've got a massive profile, and they're worth a lot of points. They're very easy to hit because they don't do anything different than the Yeerks. But the Yeerks have this tiny profile, so it's like you get 3 times as many points for the Hork-Bajir as a Yeerk, but it's way easier to hit the Hork-Bajir, and they're not any more difficult to evade. So it's just like, oh, I guess the game got easier because it started giving me Hork-Bajir. And it was only different with the blade ship, where it's like, oh, it's actually kind of hard if I want to hit the blade ship for points because they move at me fast. It's not that hard to dodge it, but to get in front of it and shoot it, without accidentally getting hit, you have to try. Um, so it was very strange that it was just like, yeah, I can't wait to get to these later levels with these higher point enemies because that's just easier.
Yeah, right. You'd think that the game would get progressively more difficult or complicated.
Mhm.
If anything, it's the opposite. Um, Underneath, the whole game is within this sort of silver frame. So
Mhm.
like it looks like you're looking at this on a little futuristic computer screen or something. At least what they thought would look futuristic in the 90s because it's chrome. And underneath you have all your stats. So it shows you your number of points, which level you're on, how many keys you found so far, and your power, which is essentially your health, but it's also how much oatmeal you have left. And if you run out of, there's also, we didn't even mention, this game keeps on giving. It has so much intricacy to it. There's also oatmeal barrels in each
Yes.
level, and you need to hit them to refill your oatmeal, which again, they refer to as power, which I don't understand.
It's like how the Kandrona gives them power when they get it. You get power from oatmeal.
So I guess, Tobias, like when you run out of oatmeal, you lose the level, you have to restart. But I guess they maybe did that so that you don't actually die. That's not your health.
Mm.
It's just
So is
oatmeal.
Tobias eating the oatmeal and then regurgitating it like to a baby bird, maybe? Maybe
I
that's
do
what's happening
think,
here.
yes, I do think that is what's happening. It has to be. I mean, it begs the other question too. we know that maple flavored, actually it's maple and ginger
Right.
flavored oatmeal. They don't say that in the game.
They're going off the TV show, I think.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we'll get to that too. Makes the Yeerk hosts and controllers go crazy, but here you're just shooting oatmeal point blank at Yeerks, Hork-Bajir's, Taxons, and blade ships. And in every instance, in one hit of oatmeal, they just disappear. So they really like took this concept to the maximum amount that it's oatmeal just kills all your enemies. It's it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It's the sort of again, it's the sort of thing that you would do if you're just trying to make a little flash game, and you're like, yeah, I'll be a guy, I'll shoot at enemies, and I want to make it Animorphs themed, so I'm a hawk, and they're Yeerks, and it'll be oatmeal. That's fun. There you go, game done.
You couldn't give him a shredder.
Well, the Animorphs don't use shredders. That's
Well,
Andalite stuff.
he's got to have a projectile weapon of some kind.
Yeah, like oatmeal.
Okay, you're right. Like
It's
oatmeal.
logical. It makes perfect sense.
I mean, on this same track, you're in just public cities and suburbs, and it's just littered with Taxons and Hork-Bajir. So I guess this is the end times. The invasion has reached its
Yeah.
conclusion here.
Kind of odd that the blade ships don't show up until you go underground.
Yes. And also, isn't there like only one blade ship? Or am I misremembering? Isn't that like the mothership, or that's different?
I'm not sure. I feel
the-
like they often refer to it as Visser 3's blade ship, and I think as a kid I thought there was only one and it was Visser 3's, but I feel like sometimes they say like a blade ship, so maybe multiple Vissers have them, and it wasn't made for Visser 3 at first, so I'm not sure. It might
Okay,
just be a class of ship.
I do think I'm looking at Cyropedia. I do think it's not. It is just a class of ship, but I think Visser 3 is the only person on Earth who really
Yeah.
has one.
Yeah. No, they're like it's like for high ranking Yeerks for sure. Like there aren't Visser 1 might have one if she wanted, but she's not around, so.
So it is very funny that it's just like now that you're underground, yeah, there's just ships coming at you.
Here they are.
It's like Visser, right? Or not Visser, the one after Visser. The one where they killed Visser. When they are like flying, they like dock the ship in the Yeerk pool underground or whatever. Remember?
Wait, which one?
In the books. The one where they
Sure.
step on Visser 1
Yeah. Okay.
and they had to like
Yes,
they like
there's
hijack
yeah.
a ship.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
ship thing was also going on at the same time, and it was crazy, and yeah.
Yeah. That was fun, wasn't it?
That was fun. I liked that.
Now, another important thing to note about this game, as you said, each enemy is worth increasingly more points
Hmm.
for with no logic behind it at all. But the thing is, if you lose, if you die, if you run out of oatmeal power, you restart the level, your score is maintained.
Oh, really?
There is no punishment. At least, I guess we should say, grain of salt. Who knows? Maybe the versions we played aren't functioning like they're supposed to be. But yeah, there is no penalty for dying and restarting a level. So if you really want to, you could replay the same level infinitely and max out your score forever.
Yeah, because I mean, I was already gonna say, you get to the key, because that's how you get to the next level. You get the key, which, that unlocks the ability to fly from the farmland to suburbia or whatever. If you miss the key, it just kind of keeps repeating the same tiles over and over. So you can just shoot your oatmeal at the enemies until you're about to run out. So like or as long as you don't die. So in theory, the way to get the high score I had thought was you get to the key and then you just repeat over and over, hitting only the high point enemies until you're just barely not going to make it, and then you key into the next level. But it sounds like the way that you get the high score is that it's infinite. You just keep playing.
Doesn't matter. Also, I mean, why is it the key gives you a letter? It's so game logic-y. They don't even try to make it make sense, which I guess that's fine for what it is. I mean, I shouldn't be thinking about it this hard.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I get thinking about it just to the sake of
It's what
making
we have
fun of
to
it
do.
and dragging out the episode. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, if it made too much sense, it would like you'd have a modern good game where it'd be like, yeah, we're gonna put a ton of effort into it and make it like a real game and blah blah blah. Like, no, part of the charm of, as we said, of these games is that people just you just made them. There it is. It's kind of dumb and shitty.
I
Go
almost
play it.
wish they were just literal letters instead of keys.
Mm.
Like that makes it worse. Don't try to make it like you made it make less sense by trying to make it make sense. Just make it a fucking letter and it's a video game and that's fine.
And then you have to collect the right letters, or else you won't have an animal name you can unscramble.
Look at we could in 10 minutes we could double this game's quality. Now, this is what I really wonder because yeah, I want to know who made this game.
Hmm.
Was it just an intern? The other game we're going to talk to does have a credit screen. This
Okay.
game, as far as I know, there is no record on the internet I could find of who made it. Was it just one guy? Was it a kid who submitted it? Was it a team of people working together? Did someone do the art and someone else did the programming? Was the person disappointed? Was he like, oh, I wanted to do level 5, but I had a deadline and they didn't ever let me change the game after that and I got fired or something? Like I'm so curious about the behind the scenes and I don't think we'll ever know. Kind of sad.
That is kind of sad. Somebody do a fucking expose on this. Some crazy ass deep dive. Maybe we'll reach out and we'll be the ones to do it. We won't. Um, yeah, no, I mean that is the thing. This does like if you had the sprite skills, you one person makes this in a week easy,
For
right?
sure.
Yeah. Like yes, you do have to draw the backgrounds. You do have to draw the sprites. You do have to like get the sound library for it, right? You have to set up everything. But like my god, that's just it's just like the most basic stuff. It's like
It's
it's
yeah.
this is not a thing that requires a team.
There's a reason pretty much anytime someone's learning a programming language to make a game for the first time, their first game is almost always a scrolling shooter.
Hmm.
Because it's just like it's
Yeah.
the simplest thing and it's also a very you get an immediate feedback of understanding I have a thing that I can move my character and when I shoot things there's a reaction and I get a score and like the points go up. It's the most obvious simple thing to implement.
Yeah, I
Um
fucking made something like this at one point when I was a kid. It was a similar thing, and it was, it's like the same thing where it's like, yeah, you're gonna move up and down. You can scroll forward. You can only shoot forward because it's hard to make you shoot in multiple directions. What control? Like I would have to, I have one set of buttons to move me and one thing to shoot. I would need to figure out what other buttons to press if you wanted to shoot in other directions. That'd be weird. It's too
right.
hard. Let's just shoot forward. It's fine. It's the same. It was the same damn thing.
You can also get the illusion of motion without having to actually animate anything
Yeah.
because it's like I move it around the screen. Look, it's moving.
Right.
Pretty good.
Exactly.
Why don't we talk about the finale? As you said, you have to put in this password.
Yeah. So where is this screen? Because you beat level 4, and then a screen pops up. Here it is,
Hmm.
and it says, um, "You've made it to the Yeerk pool. To unlock the cell and free the Animorphs, unscramble the 4 keys to spell an animal's name. Change the letters by clicking on the arrows. When you think you've got the right combination, click the enter button. Now hurry, there's only 3 minutes left." And there's a little picture here,
Wait a
and
minute.
it's the
Yours says 3 minutes. What are you
oh,
looking at?
1 minute. I'm sorry. Why did I say 3 minutes? I guess I'm
Jesus.
stupid. Um, there's only 1 minute left. Yeah, 3 minutes is way too much time. This is too easy for that.
1 minute is too much time.
It is. But yeah, there's a little picture here of all the Animorphs from the TV show. And it's all of them.
Yeah.
Axe is here too. Well, I guess Tobias isn't here, but you're rescuing. You know. And
Right.
there's little I guess they're in the Yeerk pool. They're doing their
It's
classic thing where they're standing behind like a ledge and looking at something.
It is looks like a random picture of the group.
Yeah.
It looks like Axe was just photoshopped in. I don't think he's actually, his head is just there.
I think you're right.
And like Jake's
Cassie
eyes
might be
are
too.
closed.
Because, like, Rachel,
Yeah.
Jake, and Marco are all kind of standing looking the same direction.
Yeah. And they just added green lasers in front of the
Yeah.
picture to go, oh, they're in jail.
They're in
which
jail.
Also, I didn't even consider the idea of like, wait, so the Yeerks know their identities now? I guess. Okay. Sure.
Pretty good.
Anyway.
Yeah, so you get your 4 letters, and then you click the arrows to like scroll through until you've unscrambled the word. And if
Yeah.
you don't know what the word is, then it might take you like 20 seconds to do. And if you do know what the word is, it'll take you like 5 seconds to do.
Yeah, so it's always a 4-letter animal name.
Mm-hmm.
When I played, I got duck.
Yeah, so I remember I played and I got fish, and I was like, I wonder if it's the same every time. I played through again, and I was like, oh, I got fish again. I guess it's the same every time. But it
No,
sounds like
you
you
just
got
got
a different
lucky.
word.
I did, and Seropedia also mentions wolf, dove, and tick.
Tick is an interesting one.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, look,
how did they get to that?
4 letters.
List some animals with 4 letters in their name. How long is it going to take you to say tick?
They needed replay value for all the times you would play this, because the 4 levels have infinite value, but that password needs to be different to keep you interested.
Right.
Now,
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other issue here is that, like, wolf and dove both have an O. So to get fish, they needed another word with an I so that it wasn't so obvious, you know?
Sure.
Right, so that you might get confused. You wouldn't just be like, oh, I know it's fish again because there's an I in it. You see.
Yeah. I did, just out of curiosity, click the hint button to see what it would say, because there is a hint button. If you can't
Just out of
figure out
curiosity, yeah, you certainly could have done it with that. I'm sure you could have.
easily.
Yeah.
Easily. But just to be thorough,
Mm-hmm.
and the clue was something like, this feathered friend has the calling card of quack, something like that. It was not very subtle, so this clearly was not designed for people over the age of 9.
I mean, listen, if you have a 4-letter word that is scrambled and you know it's an animal and you can't figure it out, you need a pretty obvious hint.
Right. Now, if you successfully do this, you get another shot of the cast, and it says, "You are a true Animorph warrior. Using your brain power and Tobias's speed, you have saved the Animorphs once again."
And so they know you're going to play it multiple times.
Apparently, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, I would have guessed that this was on the website early, that this was like a 1996 or 7 game, but clearly it came out while the TV show was out, because they have screenshots from it. So that's sort of surprising. This game actually feels like it's maybe too shitty for how late it came out. But again,
98 or 90. I mean, I guess because it's an official site, because I was going to say, like, 98 or 99 was before I would have been playing those games, and I played a lot of games this shitty, but
I also don't know if there's a record of when it actually was published. I want to know the actual date. I'm curious. But anyway, because who knows? Maybe it was after the show came out. I don't know. When did the books kept going way after the show, so like they still could have had stuff for it.
Let's see. It requires Shockwave 7.0. Do we know when? Is there like a date on that we could maybe?
This is the real detective work that we're doing now. I'm sure this is information is out there, but yeah, I'm not going to look for it right now. I did. How about like the act of actually playing this game? It's obviously not an incredible game. It's very simple, very straightforward. There's pretty much no challenge whatsoever. There's no music either. You mentioned the sound design. The only sound is a little like pew pew oatmeal and Tobias going "Rah!" when he gets
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 sounds. You do have to get those sounds. So like that is where but that is also part of why I was like one person could still do this in a week. If you had to like compose music too, then I'd be like, yeah, maybe you do need a second person to get it done in 1 week.
That's another 2 days, I think.
Yeah. I
um,
mean, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Like you want me to compose a soundtrack and figure out how to draw sprites and code it?
that's a lot.
I don't have any of those skills, so I'd have to learn them from the ground up. That's going to take me like 2 weeks.
But the
Get me a
game,
partner.
it plays fine for what it is. And like I said, I do think as a kid, I would have got some mileage out of this in my desperation for entertainment, not having the cell phones
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, it is very mindlessly replayable. I could imagine myself playing this for like 5 to 10 minutes a day, like every other day for like, or at least once a week for like I could see myself playing this like once a week for like a year for like 10 minutes just because I got on the computer and was like, I'll go play Hawk Rescue. Ha ha ha. Okay.
When you were a kid, you're saying.
When I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
sort of thing I would
Or
have done,
like,
100%.
if you're like in the computer lab at school, or
Yeah.
whatever, you have free time, and it's like whoever your friend next to you, like, oh, let's both play Hawk Rescue. What are you playing? How do you play that? And then everybody checks it out and tries it. That's fun.
Yeah, when that was a fucking weird thing. I wonder if they still do anything like that. If they're like, we gave you all you little shits laptops, fuck off. Because
Right.
there used to be like, oh, you could just have like computer time, and everybody gets to sit in front of the computer and do something for like 15, 30, whatever minutes. And I don't know if the idea was that you were supposed to be like, oh, maybe I could use this to like type up my paper, my little 1 paragraph paper. But no, everybody's just going to use it to play a game. I don't really know what that was about.
Well, it depends. It depends on which age you're talking about, because sometimes they had, they would have like Math Blaster and
Hmm.
Mavis Beacon teaches typing. I loved any of those. I didn't care what
Hmm.
kind of game. I didn't care if it was educational. I wanted to play all of them.
Yeah,
And
I
all,
mean, I
yeah,
literally had these things, obviously I had these things when I was like really young, and it would just be like, you can play only the hooked on phonics, whatever bullshit. But like, these things existed for me up through high school, where it was effectively
yeah,
like, oh, this is like study lab, but you're on the computer and some people are working, and I'm over here playing fucking Flash Revolution, probably bothering people.
yeah, yeah. We don't need to talk about that.
I
So
know.
my
You hate when
final,
other people find joy in things. I get it.
no,
I know. You
no,
get like grumpy every
no,
time somebody likes something you haven't heard of. It's just a character trait of yours. I've learned to live with
no.
it.
That's not it. That's not it. It's not it. I'm gonna cut that out.
Okay. A lot of stuff to cut out this episode.
Yes, that's why we have to fill so much content, because it's a short one this week. I was just
Anyway,
gonna say, let's give a final IGN rating to Hawk Rescue. For me, it's 4.3 out of 10.
out of 10.
Yeah. What about for you?
I could go a little bit higher. I could give this thing like a 5.8 maybe, cuz there are
Wow.
games that are better than it, but I'm also not a gamer. This is accessible enough that I could see myself playing it for a couple minutes and being like, yeah, that was fun, and getting honestly everything there is to get out of it, which is more than can be said for a lot of better games with regard to me personally.
Wow. We should also say, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they introduce the enemies to you, you can click on them and they give you a little summary of what they are.
I don't think I did that.
Yeah, it'll tell you like the Yeerks do this and that, and Taxons are like this.
Oh, that's cool. Can you give me some examples? Because I don't think I saw it.
You want me to start the game up and click on one so I can
I
read it
thought
to you?
maybe it would just be like on Seropedia and you could
No,
tell
they
me.
don't. They don't have it. They don't
All
have
right,
it.
whatever. I think people get it.
It was like a taxon is twice the size of a human and eats whatever is in front of it. They're pieces of shit, worse than Nazis, something like that.
Something like that.
Okay, we have thoroughly now covered Hawk Rescue.
Hmm. More thoroughly than anyone ever has before, most likely.
Damn right. That's what we're here to do. Which means we can now move on to the Yeerk pool.
The Yeerk pool. Pretty exciting.
So, like we said, this game is one that you did have to download
Mm-hmm.
and
So it's
run on your computer.
It's much more intense, graphically heavy. More
Oh,
of a
yeah.
real game. I think more robust.
Here's some of the details again from the official site back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
The Yeerk Pool is an interactive arcade-style game that we are offering to our Animorphs fans for free.
Hell yeah. Love
You
free.
only need to click on the link below to download it to your computer's hard drive. Download time will depend on many factors: the speed of your modem, your internet connection, and how many other users are surfing the net at the same time. We estimate about 7 minutes for a 28.8 kbaud modem, or about 15 minutes for a 14.4 kbaud modem. By the way, I don't even know what kbaud means. Kbaud? I've never seen that term.
AUD.
Band? Do they mean? I don't know what they mean. I don't know what that is.
Well, I was just thinking KB is kilobytes. So in theory, this is like like kbps, but it's like
kbaud.
AUD. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Kbaud stands for kilobaud, which is a unit of measurement for data transfer rate.
A baud? What the fuck is a baud?
it is the I don't know. It's a unit of measurement.
Bauds to bits for me, please?
A common unit of measurement of symbol rate. It's named after Emily Baudot, the inventor of the Baudot code for telegraphy. Telegraphy? I don't know how you say that either. We're learning things today.
Okay. So, but it's the number. I'm not going to click into this because Google is shitty. But it's like It's like thing that pops up here. Says and this would make sense. Since baud is the number of symbols transferred per second, 1 baud is equivalent to 1 bit per second.
I also on Wikipedia it does say in more advanced modems, a symbol may have more than 2 states, so it may represent more than 1 bit.
Yeah, no, this makes sense, right? This is one symbol per second, which on a computer would be 1 bit.
Man, we're pre-bits now.
Yeah, this is crazy. We're not even talking kilobytes. These are kilobits.
So we really, if we were wanting to be chronological, we should have done this game first because it definitely came first.
Oh, okay. Well,
because the other one had to be run with Shockwave, and we knew the TV show was out. This is a Windows 95. Like, this is far less advanced.
Yeah, they're still using bauds back then.
I mean, and probably if this game had come after, it would have also been in your browser. But at the time, you couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. That's probably right. Yeah.
Anyway, the website continues. It has full instructions on how to download ypool.zip. It tells you how to unzip it with WinZip, and then how to double click the exe to run it. It's playable on any IBM/PC compatible computer running Windows 3.1 or Windows 95 with at least 8 megabytes of RAM. You must reset your monitor to 256 colors to properly display the graphics. You will also need a sound card if you want to hear the music and sound effects.
I do.
There's also Mac instructions. And then at the bottom it says, read the instructions before you start playing the game. It could save you from losing points on your score. Now, I think this, because every time I started this game up, it does have a warning about this 256 color monitor thing. And maybe that's what's causing these graphical issues. You were supposed to do some old monitor color thing that I no longer care to do.
Yeah, because you had to emulate this, And so your emulator has to do some weird shit, I guess, with its settings. Didn't you also say you had to do some kind of graphics or sound card thing to trick it into thinking you had something?
That's next week's game.
Ah, okay, that's okay. Well, good luck to me.
Good luck to you indeed. So the Yeerk pool.
Hmm.
You want to just read the instructions? They're kind of long though.
I think it's worth reading them all out, even though they are kind of long.
Great,
They're
you do it.
fun.
Have
All
fun.
right.
Go for it.
Your challenge is to help Jake find his way through the maze to the Yeerk pool. You can control Jake's movements with the arrow keys on your keyboard or with the JIKL keys. As you find the colored keys, use them to free the gorillas from their matching colored cages. Once you've released a gorilla, you can use its morph by hitting the spacebar to help Jake chase off the controllers. But remember, you can only stay in the gorilla morph a limited time. If you encounter any animals along the way, be sure to stop and collect them for extra points. You have 3 chances to help Jake collect all the keys and release all the animals, which then allows Jake entry to the Yeerk pool area, where you must help him find the Kandrona ray machine that feeds the Yeerks and destroy it. Warning, don't forget to stay away from any roaming Yeerk slugs, and use Jake's gorilla morph by hitting the spacebar to cross the Yeerk pool. At the end of the game, your points will be tallied, and you can proceed to the next level. Your game ends when you either run out of time or after you've exhausted all 3 Jakes. Play again to beat your score. So does that sound exciting?
Jakes.
3
Three
Jakes.
Jakes. What
Yeah,
is this,
you
one
made
and
it.
a half sequels to Chinatown?
That exact fucking same joke when I was there in person.
Did I? It's not a joke. I'm wondering. You know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get why you would wonder.
Anyway,
Yeah, basically there's like a maze you walk along. It's like Pac-Man. It is Pac-Man. And there's controllers
yeah.
who roam it. Yeah, you have to unlock being a gorilla to beat them.
The other Pac-Man is an apt comparison. The other game that I thought of while playing it is Chip's Challenge. You familiar with that?
I am. Holy shit! Because I was thinking there is like another thing going on with like the keys and the gorillas, but I don't know. It feels like just a general archetype. I When you say that, I'm like that is definitely what I'm thinking of, but I can still barely remember it.
Yeah, I mean, Chip's Challenge had a lot more going on and was more pleasant, but another kind of early freeware sort of PC game where you had to like move around a maze and find keys to unlock doors and stuff.
Yeah, fuck. I'm gonna look up some gameplay footage of Chip's Challenge after this podcast.
Yeah, it came with my Windows 3.1, so I might play some later.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Anyway, but the reason it's more Pac-Man-ish is that your Jake never stops moving. Like you change his direction in the maze, but he's always moving forward.
Yes. And the maze does just look kind of like a Pac-Man maze, but bigger. Right? Like he's running through I mean, given that you are not an abstract yellow dot, but rather a Jake sprite, it kind of looks like you're running through tubes.
Yeah, what you are looking at in this game essentially is a completely black background, and the maze is just divided by silver tubes or lines. It is also, I think we should note, it's not like Pac-Man in the sense that in Pac-Man, the whole maze is on one screen you can see. This has multiple, you move off screen and each time it scrolls to the next section of the maze. So you only can ever see a portion of it at a time.
Yes, and I had at first thought that maybe these things would change up, but it is just one standard maze, so that you just can only see a part of. That doesn't change.
The things that change about the maze, the layout does not. So each key has the way it always starts is you're looking for one key that's out in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
That will be say it's a green key. Okay, now you need to find the green cage where the gorilla is. Then when you get the green gorilla, you'll get maybe the red key, and then you got to find the red gorilla, and so on. And there's 4 different gorillas, and
Mhm.
it's just the order you find the keys and where the colors are is randomized.
Yes, the 4 gorilla spots are always in the same spot, but which color is where is randomized, and you don't know where you start or what you're gonna get. So
There's also other animals in the maze,
yeah, like a
like
bird or a bear or an elephant, and they're just out in the
which
open.
presumably is that Rachel and like are those Animorphs or are they just animals?
You get points for going
Yeah,
through them.
you
Did
touch
it say
them.
you rescue them by doing that?
Yeah, maybe
Uh,
they're just animals because the gorillas are
yeah.
just animals. So maybe you're rescuing all the animals.
Yeah, it is. So you free. I mean, this is already weird. You free the gorillas from their cages, and that's what lets you turn into the gorillas. A little odd.
Yeah, it says if you encounter any animals along the way, be sure to stop and collect them for extra points.
So you collect the animals. I don't know what that means. Put them in your pocket? It's not like you're getting the morph because you can't turn into them.
The premise is insane. It does seem like whoever made this didn't really know anything about Animorphs, or they just made this game and someone desperately tried to slap onto it an Animorphs theme with this text because it really bears very little resemblance. Because, yes, of course, in Animorphs, you would only need to touch the gorilla one time. Here, when you get a gorilla, you then have the option to press the space bar to turn into it for like maybe 15, 20 seconds. And then you need to get another gorilla to do it again.
I mean, the thing is, it kind of is just Pac-Man with the chips challenge thing stuck onto
Right.
it. Like,
Right.
it's like it doesn't feel like they made this game. It does feel like somebody said make an Animorphs game, and the person who did it was like, I don't know much about Animorphs, and I certainly don't know how to make a game. So let's just make a game that already exists again. Because it is like you're running through the maze. There are these controllers running after you. If they touch you, you lose. Unless you've gotten one of the gorilla dots, in which case you can use it for a short period of time to get the controllers instead, and that's how you stay safe. And then if you get like the cherry or whatever, you get extra points. Only the cherry is a gorilla or a grizzly bear.
I I didn't even realize how similar that actually is until you said it.
Like
It
it's just
seems
the same fucking thing, except that you have to do it in an order.
right. And I mean, I do like that you can press a button to activate it. That does give you a little more agency.
Hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. But also, like, why a gorilla? Why 4 gorillas? Why not?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the answer is because they just animated one gorilla and that was it. But it would be cooler if it was, oh, then this one's a bear, and now you get to turn into a bear or something.
Hmm.
I don't know. That could have been something they did. The sprite of Jake. I mean, in what world does anyone look at that and go, "That's Jake, all right"? It's just the most generic little 3D-ish little bastard with brown hair and shorts and a green T-shirt.
It's weird because it does look like a 3D model that they just took shots of, like a shitty 3D model, don't get me wrong, like a really shitty 3D model that they took shots of for to make sprites out of, like, 2 or 3 shots so that you get the running sprite from every angle, whether he's going up, down. And like, why isn't it just a 2D sprite? Wouldn't that be way easier to do?
Yeah, I don't. The whole thing reeks of again someone just being like, I don't know. I learned this new trick, so I'll put
Yeah.
that in the game. It's not relevant or good, but I read about it and I want to put it in there. The controllers, of course, are the enemies, and there's sprites, whatever you want to call them, are even more baffling.
They're like they're I mean, so they're goons, right? They're big buff bald guys in like, is that khakis and like white sweater? Eh, like it
It's
almost
just-
looks like Batman goons, but instead of Batman outfits, they're wearing I don't even know, a more generic uh tough guy suit. I don't
yeah,
know.
they're just guys, which I guess to be fair, that's what a controller would look like. But
Yeah.
of all the guys you could make, why is it this guy? I I don't know. And so the way it works, because it's not like, again, Pac-Man, you can see the ghosts moving the whole time.
Right.
You know where they are at any given moment. There's also, by the way, of course, lots of dots you can get. In this game, 80% of the maze is just empty.
Mhm.
um, but in this game, there's every time you leave a screen to go to the next area of the maze, it forgets what was in the last area, essentially, in terms of you or
Yeah.
the enemies.
Yeah. So you can
So
evade these guys by just leaving a screen and coming back.
yes, you can. If you just go in and out, it will reset their positions, and you never know. There's never enemies in an area when you first enter it. It's always like 5 seconds after that they will come in from, I think, a random entrance. I do not know. I didn't really figure out if there's any rhyme or reason. Do they try to come from where you came from, or where you're going, or where you're
Yeah.
close to? I don't know.
I did not notice any pattern in the timing because it's not always the same amount of time either. Sometimes they seem to appear very quickly, and sometimes you're just good. Yeah,
And
it's odd. I don't know.
sometimes they just, you're right about to leave the screen and a guy just
Yeah.
comes out and you're fucked. And you die.
Yeah. Because you're in the Pac-Man always moving thing, it's very easy. And because you don't see what's on the other side of the screen, and because they just make stuff up, yeah, sometimes there's very little you can do. There's like no, you just, oops, I ran into him. If I hadn't
Yeah.
already been moving, I could have, maybe turned into a gorilla, but too late.
And each level adds another controller. So when you start, there's only one at a time. Then there's two at a time,
Hmm.
and I don't know how high it goes.
Yeah, I wonder how high it goes because I got to three at a time and then died. Um, but
I
I don't know. I didn't see any videos of people getting higher than three at a time, but I also didn't see any videos that were longer than like 5 minutes.
I believe I got to level. I think I made it to 4. Did I make it to 4? I took a screenshot of my high score because I was proud,
Hmm.
and my high score is 4,879. If anyone wants to try to beat it, I swear at one point there were 4 controllers on screen, but I think I was still on the 3 level. I don't know. I don't know what the thing is.
Hmm.
But what I essentially discovered after playing for a while, because it's so unpredictable,
Yeah.
that basically the farther you get, when there's more than one, even with just 2, it's like really dangerous. You just can't. I learned staying on a screen for longer than 2 seconds can just be a death sentence.
Yeah.
So my strategy was to just, no matter where I was going, just find the shortest path to a new screen, zip wherever I could, even if it meant like going in and out, back and forth to then go back in and go somewhere else, just to avoid the enemies spawning so I could get out. Because if they spawned, like, just all hell would break loose. It's chaotic. I didn't know what I would do. If I didn't have a gorilla, especially. If I have a gorilla, you can be a little safer. You have a backup. You can use that gorilla to take them out. They do give you points if you take them out. But they will also, again, respawn as soon as you go to a new screen. You can't actually, there's no grace period whatsoever
Yeah.
taking one out.
Yeah, you definitely want to do lots of like get between the screens fast. You might even want to go into a screen and then back into the other screen just to see if the thing you want is there without, and just be
Yeah.
like, yeah, fuck it, I'm not even going through there. Um, it's pretty good to have played it and just know where all the shit is, because then you just run through and you're like, what are the colors this time? Cool, now I know where they are. I can get there as fast as possible.
Hmm.
Um, there are one or two screens where you can just get trapped very easily. So it's like, yeah, just don't spend time on those because there's really only one exit
Oh yeah.
here
There is
type of thing.
one screen that I think is the bottom right corner,
Mhm.
which is just an L shape, one
Yeah.
long hallway. And so if you get to the middle of it and there's someone coming from both sides, you're
Yeah.
just fucked.
Yeah, there's
So
just
that
nothing
was
you can do.
it's just a death trap. I just learned like just to never go there. It's bad. um yeah, it's really good, a pretty good game.
I also got to say, I did not like the Pac-Man controls. As a non-gamer, like, it was not intuitive to me that these would be Pac-Man controls when I first started. Especially because the tunnels are so short. Um, because we only see tiny portions of the screen at once. That like it took me a while to even realize that's what was happening. Like I would press it and I'd go slightly farther than the turn that I wanted to make. And then I'd stop because I'm at the end of that. And I'd be like, oh, so it just overshot it. So it's just not responsive. And it took me a while to realize, oh, it's not that it's not responsive. It's that I always move. And I was up against a wall or something. I did
Mm.
not like it. I thought it sucked. I was very unhappy and frustrated with those controls. And especially it makes less sense when you're a fucking kid, right? In these tiny little areas, right? If I'm a blob, then sure, the blob is always moving. And he's making his little waka waka thing, so you kind of know he's always moving. And you see the whole screen, so it you know what I mean? Like you're not saying like, "Oh, I got to stop to take in my environment." Whereas here I'm like, "Why is this kid always fucking running? Why is he always running even when I'm not telling him to run? Stop fucking running. Wait a second, you just got to a new room. You're not going to stop. You're just going to run into the wall?" I don't know. It was not intuitive to me and it made me mad.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I witnessed some of that.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, it was definitely I don't know if intuitive is the right word, but I picked up on it okay.
Mhm.
Personally.
But you did also, you were in the room when I played, so I think you had some idea that it was Pac-Man controls by the time you
Oh,
started.
sure. Well, how long did it take you? 25 minutes to figure it out?
Well, my point is that, like, I had to press buttons to well, okay, so first of all, let's talk about the graphical problem. Because the graphical problem we were running into is that in the first room, none of the walls of the tunnels appeared.
Right, but as you move, the walls would like spawn in where you
Yes.
were touching.
Yeah, so like when I first started playing, I'm sitting here. Your character moves indefinitely until you hit a wall, which you can't see where any of the walls are. And I'm trying to figure out what the controls are because I'm like, yeah, I guess you press JIKL to move, right? I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? So it did take me longer than you might expect to figure out it was Pac-Man controls.
You are very stupid, and that's fine. Your gamer
I'm not a
instincts
gamer. I
are
will say that. I'm not a gamer. My gamer instincts are
mhm.
not on point.
Yeah, very sad, pathetic even.
Hmm.
You would die in the wild because you
Again,
don't
it just he's kind
Hmm?
of mean sometimes.
Nope. Cutting that. I did, adapt to that and, eventually figure out. I mean, this is, it's a glitch in the game, but then it just became
Yeah.
okay. I memorized
Yeah.
exactly the movement pattern to get out of this room to start.
Yeah. No, that same thing. Because when you leave and come back, it works. I was just like, yeah, I always exit it the same way every time. It's fine. I know
Which
where it is.
is, it's kind. There's something. I'm not saying this is good, and that's not even part of the game design. That's just an artifact of how old it is. But there is something that I find kind of charming about that. It really is just purely nostalgia of just thinking of older games of little quirks like that aren't good design, but you would just know them because, well, that's
Hmm.
the game that I played for 6 years because that was the game. Of course, you go through this door, then that door, then you press the red button, then you go backwards, and then you have to press this twice. Like, what? How the fuck how does anyone know that? So that's kind of fun in a stupid way.
Yeah. No, I could see that for sure. Um.
Um,
Now, after you
yeah,
get your 4 keys in between going on to the next level with two or
yeah,
three
yeah, yeah.
controllers, you get to the Yeerk pool.
Right. The
Which
Yeerk
is
pool, the titular Yeerk pool.
yes, it's the same number. It's like 9 screens in a grid, so you start in the center. Same controls where you're always running, except this time there are no walls or tunnels. It's just all open spaces throughout all of these screens. So you're basically just immediately running onto another screen, and so on and so forth. On one of these screens, there is a Candrona ray machine that you have to run over to beat it, and there is a Yeerk pool that if you run into it, you die, unless I guess you are a gorilla. But I didn't even. I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
If you're a
you.
gorilla, I think you also die if you touch the Candrona as a person, no?
That might be
I, ju-
true.
I always turned into a gorilla because I
Yeah,
just thought you were supposed to.
yeah, I did. I did too. And there are also is a little green ball, which I suppose now that I reread the instructions was supposed to be a Yeerk, but I thought maybe it was like a I don't know drone, the killer robot thing, or
Hunter
maybe it was like a
robots.
laser blast.
I thought it was like a goo, like dripping or something, or
Yeah,
laser
but
beams. I don't know.
that also bounces around in there. I think there are as many of them as there are at the level you're on. So like one, two, three.
Hmm. You will. There's a good chance you won't even notice it if it just
Yeah,
doesn't happen to spawn
yeah,
where you
yeah.
are.
This was also obnoxious as hell because the York pool takes up a lot of the screen it's on, and you don't get to see the screen, and you're just immediately on the next screen. So it's very easy to just be running around the pool and go, "Oops, I fell in the pool." I
Yes.
just didn't like I walked onto the screen, and so like the strategy was like number one, just like go onto a screen and immediately like buffer back so that you just don't go into the room at all, but you get to see it for a second. And the other strategy is that I think the Candrona thing is always against the wall, and the Yeerk pool is like there. So if you go against the wall, you're less likely to hit it. If
You
that
try to
makes
stay
sense.
like on the outsides of the
Yeah.
screen and not go
Yeah. Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That is what happens. That's your boss level
That's
essentially.
your boss level.
And then it's just like, okay, now go do the maze exactly the same again, and there's more guys.
Yeah. And the
And
boss level is like honestly to me the most like fuck you part because it is kind of obnoxiously difficult, but only because you can't stop moving and can't see the whole screen. If you could stop moving or if you could see the whole screen, it would be trivially easy. Like just the
right.
the easiest thing in the you just go to the thing and oop, I smashed it. That it's done. So like it's kind of hard, but only because the gameplay sucks for what you're trying to do.
I found it once I figured out what it was, I didn't find it hard compared to like once there were more controllers,
Mhm.
that's when I was really sweating. Well, the
Yeah.
Yeerk pool, I was like, if I have as long as I have a gorilla morph on me, like I kind of feel okay. I mean, that's another thing. You just morph gorilla first. That way, if you run into it by accident, you don't get hurt.
Yeah, but the I guess the problem was that like I at least didn't have the reaction time to not die in between entering a room and hitting a Yeerk pool. So like you have to morph it before you enter the
Yeah, yeah,
thing, but
yeah,
you've got
yeah,
9
yeah.
things to enter and the thing only lasts so long, so you better have a lot of gorilla morphs
Well,
unless you
I
get
actually
lucky.
don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know what happens if you run out of them. I guess you just lose.
You must
And
be
I
able to break the Candrona as Jake if you I don't know.
maybe. And I also don't remember, like, do you usually, because I feel like if you have 2 gorilla morphs when you get there, you're
Hmm.
probably fine. I think that's
That might
enough.
be. Yeah, that might be.
But yeah, I mean it is. I mean, to me, the most offensive part of that the Yeerk pool is just that the background is just black. It's just
Yeah.
so
It's just
lazy.
nothing. It's just
It's a-
fucking yeah, I mean that is the thing. It's fucking trip like it's just a big square and you go there, but I can't see the whole square and I can't control my movement well. Like it's just it feels like it should be nothing. Like they're like you're talking about it's easy with the strategy, but it shouldn't have strategy, you know?
Well, I really tried to play as far as I could because I really wanted to find out like how many
Mhm.
will they actually add. Is there? But the game just ends when you run out of time, or you have your 3 lives run out.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it does get probably unbeatably hard at like
Yeah.
5 or so, especially because like yeah, you might be able to avoid these guys and not die, but not in the you have to waste a lot more time and then you run out of time.
I'm kind of curious, just theoretically. I want to look at the code, and
Mm.
like, does it
Is there a kill
actually?
screen at 255 or whatever?
Right. Does it actually keep adding more guys infinitely, or eventually it's just like the same amount and they're like, well, nobody's going to get here, so why are
I
we
bet there
bothering?
is a kill screen far before 255, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, who you would have to be, I don't even know if it is possible. Even
Yeah.
5 might be truly impossible to beat.
Yeah, or like it can only handle having like
Right.
7 objects on screen at the same time. So if you make it past that, you just get to keep going until the actual crash at some absurdly high number.
Questions number 1. Why JIKL keys to move? I have never heard of this in any game before.
I had a theory. I'm gonna sticking by my theory.
No, your theory is fucking stupid.
Well, it's JIKL because he's Jake, so they use the J and K keys.
Okay. Everyone is really feels sad now that you
No,
said that
because
out
why?
loud.
Otherwise, you're right. Nobody uses JIKL, right? So like
I
that's
think
they
the
thought it was clever.
idea
It's
is
clever.
that you keep your left thumb on the space bar and then with your right hand, which I just ended up doing with the arrow keys because that just makes more sense to me. But yeah, why isn't it just WASD? Because you could just keep your right hand on the space bar. I don't know. This was 1995 or 96. People didn't really, there weren't probably norms established for these types of things yet. Like, it
I
was
think
kind of the
someone
Wild West.
Yeah, and I think somebody saw, hey,
Shut the
that's kind of
fuck
like
up.
Jake's name,
No
and
one
they thought it was
saw
clever.
that. That is absolutely a billion
You're
percent
moving like Jake.
not what happened.
Listeners, write in and tell us whether you think that this theory has legs. Because I think it has some legs. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying this is a real possibility.
Why are you not playing as Marco? Marco's the one who turns into a gorilla.
Good question.
Why is Jake literally never turns into a gorilla? Why? And
Yeah,
why is it
or
just
tigers.
gorillas? Yeah, why not just make it tigers? Like, again, it had to be that they just made this game. They just had this and were like, can we make it Animorphs themed? I guess. I don't know. Can you? Do your best. Okay, so this game like actually has a credit screen to it.
Yes. Oh yeah, you hinted at this.
I tried to figure out who any of these people are or were, and I pretty much failed. It says produced by Knucklehead Films. No idea. I don't know. I do not know. I tried to look this up. I think there like was a Knucklehead Films site, but it did not seem related to anything that would be involved with this. But also the thing is, this is so long ago that who knows what these things have morphed into by now. There's a Knucklehead TV, which is like a British network or something. It's like obviously not the same thing. Okay. Then it says executive producers Therese Magot and Bill Wright. I looked up both of them, and I think Therese was on LinkedIn as maybe like she works with software or something, and I'm like, maybe that's her, but I don't know if it is. Media and marketing or something is what her LinkedIn page says. It could be her. I couldn't really find Bill Wright. Now the game is created by Arnhammer Interactive. AURN Hammer. Must be named for who it says it was designed and programmed by, Bill Arnhammer. It was also another name, Darren Andes, like the mint. Or the mountains, or whatever.
The mint.
Yeah,
That's where you went.
I fucking love those little mints. I couldn't figure out, once again, I'm quite sure this doesn't exist anymore, whatever it was. Like, how were they contracted? The only information I could find online that listed this as a company clearly got all of its information from the credit screen in this game. So, where are these people now? I don't know. Finally, this one's maybe the most substantial. Music by Richard Lanehart. Now, we didn't mention the music in this game.
Yes. No, we didn't.
Do you remember how it goes?
Shit, I just listened to it this morning. It is like, 2 bars long.
Yeah, it basically goes bum 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 over and over and over again in a loop forever.
Yes, that's right. That's how it goes.
There is a shortcut you can press they tell you about in the game to turn off the music. So they knew. Do 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 do. It's truly upsetting. Now, this Richard, if this is the same guy, Richard Lanehart is on Wikipedia. He passed away in 2011, but it says was an American composer of electronic music that combines analog and digital instrumentation with extended performance techniques derived from traditional acoustic instruments.
This has got to be the same guy.
Particularly associated with the renaissance of modular analog synthesis. Yeah, it's got to be the same guy. He died at only 58, so I wonder if he was sick or something.
Somebody shot him over this game.
I mean, if they didn't, I was about to go do it. But I couldn't find a direct link. Like, his Wikipedia page doesn't mention also notable works include the Yeerk pool. It doesn't say that.
Maybe you should use that for the outro to this episode.
Maybe I will. Just a 20-minute loop. Maybe it'll play throughout the background of this whole discussion.
Oh my god, this is a good idea.
But it is this strange thing with these games that, like, nobody... who out there is taking credit for these? They don't care. They don't want to. It does them no good. But I have a burning curiosity. I want to know what went down.
We need some internet historians or archivists to come out and find who made these games. And the public deserves to know, I think.
Yeah, we're not going to do it. But someone else should do it.
Yeah, agreed.
So the Yeerk pool, I think I definitely liked more than you. I actually wanted to... I did have some desire to play it a few times to actually, like, I had a drive in me to find out, is there more? How far does it go? Can I do a little better this time? That was pushing me to play it. Whereas the Hawk Rescue, I really played once and said, this is completely, I'm done. There's just, I know what there is to this game.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, Hawk Rescue is just, it's a game that you play and it's easy and you just do it mindlessly. Whereas, yes, Yeerk Pool, there does come a point in which, like, there is strategy, right? You have to try.
Right. Right.
And I think that, see, this is why you're a gamer and I'm a non-gamer, is because I was just like, yes, I have to try at this, but like it's not in a way that's fun. Like I don't, the skills that this requires suck and I hate them, and so I'm frustrated. Whereas Hawk Rescue is like, all right, I kind of like the shitty little sprites, and boom, boom. Okay, I could see doing this without thinking about it, just to pass time. Where, you're a gamer, so you got presented with a challenge, and even though the challenge was shitty, you were still like, I kind of want to figure this out. How do I do it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. It's you have to bring a lot of that to the table yourself.
Yes.
It wasn't so much like, oh wow, this game is exciting. It was like, I want to beat this game just because fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm not going to be baffled by some stupid fucking game. I'm a gamer.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Anyway, I still give this one a 5.6 out of 10.
I feel like I want to lower my score on Hawk Rescue because I want to go lower with this game, but I don't want Hawk Rescue to be that much higher. Like I want to give this one like a 3.3, but that's such a gap. Hawk Rescue's not like almost twice as good as this. You know what? I'm just going to have to stick by it. I gave it its score. I can't take it back now.
So this is a 3.3?
Yeah, and Hawk Rescue, I guess, is a 5 point whatever the fuck I said.
Sure. Yeah. The Yeerk Pool. Wow.
The Yeerk Pooly Boys. That's us. Because we played it.
We really did. Like we said, if you're interested in playing these, they are out there. You have to jump through some hoops. I kind of laid it out earlier, but probably just don't. You know what? I will say this. In the process of getting Windows 3.1 to play this game, the version that I found did come with other old freeware games. So in that sense, it was worth it.
Yeah. At the very least, you got Chip's Challenge.
That's right. Ski Free is in there.
Well,
yes. Ski Free. Dare to Dream is in there. Of course, Solitaire and Minesweeper.
I don't think I know Dare to Dream.
That was the one I told you that I used to have as a kid, but we never could run it. I don't think it's like that well known. I think maybe it had a. What else was in there? Should we spend another like 25 minutes talking about Windows 3.1?
Yeah. I mean, actually, I love the Minesweepers in there. I love Minesweeper.
Here's the real question. I kind of forgot. I was going to go on a rant about the Animorphs Reddit book rankings.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a good closer. Well, I don't know if you can hear it, but Homer is having a bit of a fit in the background here. That's probably the neighbors are doing something outside for Easter, but the listeners will deal with it. I'm sure they love Homer, so they can listen to him while you go on this rant.
Well, I could, now that I've introduced it, I guess I have to do it. I was going to say we could make it the intro to next week's episode. But,
I'm excited to hear this rant.
Sure. This is your bonus. This is your reward for listening about shitty games. Now you get to hear about me. We're going to talk about the actual books again for a minute.
Holy shit.
So if anyone doesn't know, this is hot off the presses. The Animorphs subreddit, r/Animorphs. Ranimorphs, I call it. Somebody carried this thing out over the past, I guess, 2 months. They had a daily poll of all the Animorphs books, 1 through 54, not including the Chronicles or anything. And every day, everyone got to comment and vote to eliminate one book until they were all gone to determine a Reddit ranking of all the Animorphs books. I think you saw some of this.
I saw a little bit of this, yes. And I can already tell you that the phrase Reddit ranking kind of makes me want to throw up. Like, I just think, like, there's very little in my life that I respect less than Reddit's ranking of something.
Well, now I don't remember if it was on the Patreon or the main feed, but when we finished the books, I think it was the Patreon. We did a Reddit episode, and I did. There was older threads about the rankings of the books, which I think maybe they just did by poll or something. But this has like happened in the past, so it's not the first time we've discussed this. But this is like a real modern, hot off the presses kind of a fan thing.
Yeah, and in a sense, this is almost kind of designed to spark outrage because if you just say what's your favorites, it's like, oh, okay, you got to pick through the list and say that one's okay. Oh, I don't like that one. But with this one, it's like you're out of here, right? Like I'm going out of my way to start from the bottom and say that one's shit, that one's shit, that one's shit. So now you're getting real mad. Like that's even more mad than when somebody says something bad is good, is when somebody says something good is bad.
You're goddamn right. It is. So, maybe I'll put a link in the description. You can find it search for it on Reddit. I'm not going to read through the entire rankings, but yeah, essentially every day somebody would just say like, oh, this book I think should be removed. And whichever comment got the most upvotes, it got removed.
Okay.
And I disagree with a lot. I got kind of mad about some of these picks. Largely, a lot of it is some of it's understandable, like nothing crazy. But the first book voted out, and you don't know I don't like this. The first book kicked out. What the community said was the worst book of all the Animorphs is The Familiar. We don't need to beat a dead horse here, or dead Cassie, but this is one of my favorite books. I will never understand the vitriol people have for this book in particular over so many other worse books.
Yeah, I mean, we fucking talked about it. Listen, I'm not as big a fan of this book as you are, but the worst book? Are you shitting me? And that's
Right.
even like hell, rereading it and actually looking at it for the podcast and it like on its own made me like it a lot more than I did when I was just trying to remember, hey, how does this fit in? And being like, oh, it just doesn't, and fuck that. But even then, even when like before I did it for the podcast, I still would have been like the worst though, like the
Right.
worst out of all of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's top 10. I'm not even saying it should be in the top half. But like, yeah, it's not the first to go.
Honestly, it probably should be in the top half. Even to me,
Oh, well.
who doesn't like it as much as you, it probably should. There's some pretty bad books.
Well, okay, the next few voted out, probably less controversial even to us. The Unexpected, The Weakness, The Hidden,
Sure.
The Mutation. I don't even remember which one that is.
That's the Nartek one.
Right, okay. The Journey, sure. The Separation. Now, I like The Separation. It does surprise me that I still think it shouldn't be. The next book is the Beaver book. Okay, Beaver book is not better than The Separation.
Yeah, there were multiple books on that list that were better than the Beaver book, and it's not close.
The Return was the next voted out. A lot of people really not fans of The Return. The Experiment, The Suspicion, The Forgotten is pretty low. Okay, then I think there's a bunch of ones that are probably relatively non-controversial that I'm not going to, like I said, read every single one. The Visitor got kicked out fairly early on. Of the early books, that's the one people seem to like the least.
I actually do think that The Visitor would get kicked out relatively early for me, even though I don't dislike it. Like it's just too medium,
I think it's interesting because especially after having reread it with the comics and the audiobook, I think it is a perfectly good book as the number 2 book. Yeah. I think the problem is that it's just doesn't stand out once you've read the whole series. But like I think as an introductory book, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's bad. I just think that like once, you've got 54 books, once you've listed off like 15 or 20 of them, it's like, all right, but like Visitor's coming up.
Yeah. Okay, but now here's when I said fuck Reddit and fuck this list. Is that when they were down to 7 books left, the 7th to last book voted off was The Departure, which listeners will know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's both of our favorite books, certainly of the core 54.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No contest of the core 54.
Just said, fuck this. Mainly because you want to know what other book happened to be in this same grouping and lasted until
interesting.
It's number 5.
Interesting, because I was already about to say, to be perfectly honest, I'm a little surprised it got as high as top 7. I was almost expecting you to get pissed off because it didn't even make it that far. But yeah,
no,
what other
number
book
7.
is in there?
Number 5 final placement is The Sickness. Number 5, that people think that's the 5th best Animorphs book.
It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. It's not as good as The Departure. It's not close, but it's one of my favorites.
Go to hell.
We already had this discussion. I like that book.
Every day when that book was still there after the top 10, I got madder and madder.
You're the only person who has this hang up about the surgery. Everyone else loved it.
They're all fucking wrong. They are all dead fucking wrong. For the record, The Sickness has an A in our tier rankings.
Yeah, no, that The Sickness got an A very specifically because I was like, this is one of my favorite books.
But I think that means to me it's a B. So
that could be, yeah.
I don't even hate this book.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're like trying to decide the best one and it's going up against like some of my favorite books ever, including The Departure, and that goes first, then I get fucking pissed. Okay?
No, I get it. I get it. The Departure should not be that low. But like on the other hand, you know, again, fucking a lot of these people are stupid shitty Reddit nerds and they're going to be like, what even happened in The Departure? She like, not that she was just in the woods with Karen and then like she turns into a caterpillar and then somehow turning into a butterfly lets her come back. It sucks. Like there's nothing there. Whereas in this one, oh man, they got to rescue Aftran and Cassie does the brain surgery and she gets to do all the stuff on her own and she turns into a Yeerk and they're at the dance and there's more stuff that happens, so it must be better, right? I guarantee you that's effectively what it is.
Well, I can tell you I saw several arguments against books for that I think are good because they quote unquote don't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I guarantee.
Which I think
that's
I think that's one of the reasons The Familiar is the first to go, is because if you excise that book, you don't lose anything from the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, sure, but who gives a fuck about the fucking plot?
Yeah, I mean, this is peak Reddit brain is thinking that plot is the most important thing when it's like honestly one of the least.
Are you gonna tell me The Sickness is better than The Encounter? Is better than The Invasion? Is better than, I don't know, you might think it's better than some of these other ones. I won't say them. Anyway, the actual top 5, maybe the top 3 I think is okay. You know what? I'll do the top 5.
Yeah, do the top. You know what? Do the top 7 just so that we can hear everything better than The Departure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So The Departure, number 7. Next is The Illusion.
Huh.
This is when Tobias gets captured by Taylor.
Yeah, I stand by our ranking of this, which is the best B or the worst A. It's good. It's fine.
Then The Sickness. Then The Stranger.
Okay.
Then The Solution.
The Solution at 4. I'm actually kind of surprised.
No, sorry. Solution is 3. This is
okay. At 3. Oh, yeah. I just can't count. You're right.
Number 2, The Change. This is kind of a surprise to me. I don't know that one stands out as much in my memory, other than like it's when Tobias turns into a kid.
I do think that book is quite good and should probably like be going for a top 5. I'm not surprised that it's there. And similar to The Solution. I have a guess at what the top might be.
Yeah, what's your guess?
I'm gonna guess The Attack.
You're correct.
Bam! Look at
that. Which also, again, it did make it to number 1, so enough people loved this book, but I did see arguments almost every time saying that the book should be kicked out because it doesn't matter.
That's crazy.
It is truly crazy.
What do you mean? This book literally introduces Krayak.
But I mean, to their credit, Krayak in a way doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
Which is something
most
that does
of Animorphs
frustrate
doesn't
me.
fucking matter.
Right. I'm with you. I think The Attack honestly could be my number 2 or 3, and same with The Solution for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So the general trajectory of these rankings is not crazy, but there's just like these 2 or 3 choices that I'm like, fucking really? Anyway.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I was expecting. I think because it lines up close, like it's still not where I would put these books, but it's closer to where I would put them than to where you would put them, I think, on the big outliers. Yeah, I mean, the reason I said The Attack is because The Attack was my favorite main series book for a long time. Like, it wasn't until I was an adult rereading the series that I decided that Departure was my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, if you'd asked me at, like, 16, I probably would have said The Attack for my favorite.
I mean, I wonder how many people voting have reread these books in the last 10 years.
Yeah, or like, actually assessed them as opposed to being like, yeah, I'll revisit my childhood. Cool. I'm not going to think about I'm not going to change my opinion from when I was a kid.
I mean, there's still so many people who just are still pissed about the ending.
Yeah.
The beginning is like ranked at number it's in like 15 or 20 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking changed
19.
my opinion about a lot of these books rereading them for the podcast, even though my last reread before that was in my late 20s. So, like,
Yeah.
I feel like you should be willing to reassess this shit, but, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I just really wanted to say, fuck Redditors.
Yeah.
I was like I was interested. I was following it, being like, oh, what are people saying? What are they voting out? And then the day the Departure got voted with 6 books left, and one of them was The Sickness, I just was like, fuck all of you. Just fuck you all. You are all fucking pieces of dumb dog shit idiots. Nothing, no respect for you whatsoever. I hope if you're listening to this, you're a fucking dumbass. I hope you get run over by a car.
I said a lot of things about you being mean this episode, but I think I'm going to have to take them back. I think that you're being pretty fair and balanced and reasonable, and I support what you're saying here. Even though I didn't get as mad about this as you did, I do think that Redditors in general deserve everything you've said here. I stand behind it.
I'm glad we could come to a place of agreement on this. Listeners, let us know what you think about Reddit. How do you feel about this ranking? Did you take part in it? And also, what do you think about the Yeerk Pool and Hawk Rescue? Email us, theyeerkyboys@gmail.com. See, it's the Yeerk Pool, like the Yeerky Boys. This week on the Patreon, we are going to be talking about K.A. Applegate's Endling trilogy.
Holy shit. Long time coming.
You don't want to miss that exciting fantasy series about a little dog-like thing that talks.
No spoilers.
Sorry. Patreon.com/theyeerkyboys gets you that, plus so much more. And man, now this was just the warm-up, because the next few weeks, we're really going hard on the video games. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The video game stuff. John's gonna turn me into a true gamer here. I'm gonna become a gamer just for these episodes. It's gonna be
That's
hard.
right. These are the ones that are gonna do it.
Hell yeah.
Can't wait. I'm done.
All right. Well, you're done.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
done.
fucking follow us.
Over now.
Fuck that shit. Get away from me. Tune in next week
Bye.
when we'll be. No thanks for listening.
Fuck you.
Tune in next week when we'll be talking about Animorphs Know the Secret, in which we know that Cassie turns into a wolf. Like in The Secret.
Oh.
On the Yeerky Boys.